So if you watch the channel, you know that on Patreon, if you become a sous chef level, you get to pick an ingredient. Smeggy42 is a sous chef. And when he wants to throw a curveball, he gives you Doritos. Midnight Range TM, thanks for watching the video. We'll be back and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so Smeggy wants to be slick and give me Doritos, so we're gonna do a Dorito encrusted chicken breast with a black bean corn salsa. Okay, bear with a little noise in the background. I still have there's still some employees running around the kitchen here. So first thing we're gonna do is make this salsa. The salsa is definitely best to get done early. Day before is great. We're going to do a little black bean. The black beans have been, are out of the can. Actually, we just used canned ones. They were drained and rinsed lightly. Okay, so that's one can. It's about a 12-ounce can. Okay, and then we have some. Since it's January. It's January 10th right now, 11th. Couldn't get fresh corn, so we got some sweet corn frozen, which is cool. It will work great for this. It's totally fine. So this is probably a third of a cup or so. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, a little bit of jalapeno. Nice and thin. Turn it. Nice and thin. Get a really nice fine dice. Okay, nice and fine. So it's about a tablespoon. Okay, a little red pepper. With the same thing. We're gonna go nice and thin this way, lengthwise. Okay, turn it. Really nice small dice. It's going to look great once it's done. Okay, nice. Red onion. Okay, we've cut red onion before on the channel. I'll show you the easiest way to do it. Cut it in half. Keep those fingers out of the way. We're going to leave the stem end attached. We're going to trim this end. Take that peel off. And we're going to cut toward the center the whole way around. Okay? Always cutting towards the center. And because the onion has natural rings, it's going to give you a really nice dice. That's probably 2 tablespoons of red onion. Lime. I'd say the juice of a half a lime will work. You know what? We're going to do the whole thing. Get it nice and sour. About a teaspoon of fresh chopped garlic. This is about a teaspoon of honey. And fresh cilantro. Okay. Once this is chopped, probably a half a tablespoon. Really, really nice and thin. I'm actually not going to chop it. I'm just going to cut it one direction, which is called a chiffonade. And it's going to keep it from turning dark. And we're going to use a little salt and pepper. Probably a half teaspoon there. And as always, taste as you go. That's really good. As that sits, it's going to come together. The jalapeno is going to come out, the onion is going to come out, the cilantro is going to come out. It's going to be a lot better than it is now. Don't over season it. You could always season it more later. So we're going to throw this in the fridge. And you'd probably come back tomorrow to do the next step. All right, we're back. What we're going to do now is fillet this chicken breast. It's just a boneless, skinless breast of chicken, and we're going to cut it. I'm going to show you the easiest way to cut a chicken breast and keep it pretty even. And then we're going to bread it. We're going to bake this in the oven. I think baking it's going to be the way to go. I don't think the Doritos will get too dark that way. And obviously the Doritos have like a seasoning on the outside, so I'm not sure how great that would work in the fryer. We're going to blend up the Doritos in the food processor, just sort of pulse them, just kind of burp, 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 you know, and do a standard breading. So we do flour, egg wash, and breadcrumb normally, but we're going to use the Doritos. So to butterfly this, or to fillet this, one thing too, I changed boards. I got a yellow board designated for chicken, which is nice, makes it a little safer. Glove and a wet towel underneath. Okay, so that way you're not moving around. Okay, and so we're gonna find on the chicken here, on the tail end of it, I guess you could call it, where you want to bring it over. Okay, so you want the knife perpendicular to the board. Okay, the good solid grip on top, and you're going to run the knife perpendicular to the board. A good way to do it is to keep a knuckle on the board, and that way you can kind of gauge where the knife blade is. Okay, and that's probably a 5 or 6 ounce chicken breast. Okay, a little piece of sinew there. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to use that right there. This little piece of sinew you can pull out too. You can see it if you want to. I'm going to leave it in. I'm not super worried about it. If you cut it a little thick, you can trim it down more. You can also pound it to make it thinner. But I think this is good. This is probably 1/4 of an inch or 1/3 of an inch thick. It's going to give it enough time to bake and get crispity crunchy, and cook the chicken and not overcook the chicken. So we're going to move on to the next step, and we will be back. Okay guys, we're ready to bread this chicken. So I just pulsed this in the food processor a little bit. You can see it kind of almost looks like broken up cornflakes, something like that. I did not want to go all the way to the point where it was like a powder, because if it's like this, it's going to give you a better sort of fluffier crust, a lighter crust, and it actually blended up really nice. I think it's going to be great. So we're using a standard breading, flour, egg wash, and whatever your breading is. The flour and the milk, or the egg wash, is going to get a little salt and pepper. So that's probably a 1/2 cup of flour, a 1/2 cup of milk, or I'm sorry, 3/4 of a cup of flour, 3/4 of a cup of milk, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon of salt and pepper, and we're going to put 1 egg in the egg wash. I'm intentionally leaving the egg wash a little bit light. Sometimes you'll see egg washes that have far more egg in it. I don't want to collect too much breading. I want to leave it a little bit light so it's not too thick, because I don't think it's going to take too long in the oven, and I don't want it to come out and have the breading the flour and the egg wash part of the breading be pasty. So we're just gonna toss this up. Yeah, we got salt and pepper in this bad boy too. Okay, now wet hand, left hand, dry hand. Do not go back and forth. You'll end up with all clubby fingers. They'll be a gooey, battery mess. So, flour, egg wash, breading. So when the wet hand comes out with the dry hand, you want to dust all that off, shake that off into the egg wash. Let it drip for a second into the breading. This is the way you would bread anything. Yeah, this is that's why it's called a standard breading. It's very, very easy. Now I give it a little push. Make sure we get both sides really well. And then we're going to go onto a plate. Or a tray, I'm sorry. We're going to fire that bad boy in the oven at 350. I'm going to set the timer, check it, and when it's done, I'll let you know how long it was in there. Okay guys, pulled this bad boy out of the oven, and it actually smells really neat. It's kind of a roasted corn, you know, spicy toasted corn kind of scent, because the Doritos being a corn chip, it's really cool. So this was in the oven at 350 for 25 minutes. Okay, I did cut a little slit into it to check for doneness, just to make sure, because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take. We're going to cut that guy. It's actually super moist inside. It's really nice. Bring a plate. I just did some white rice. Nothing too fancy. It's gonna go well with all the corn and the jalapenos. You got jalapenos in the tortillas, and you got the Doritos, and you got jalapenos in the salsa. So it's cool. Okay. Now, one of the things that we do, that I did here, is I made a chipotle sour cream. Blended chipotle. I blended them in the blender so it's nice and smooth. The smoked jalapeno. You can get it in a can, and the adobo sauce is what I like. A little bit of salt and pepper and sour cream. And just blended the chipotle up and stirred it into the sour cream. You don't even really need a recipe. You just got to do it to taste. Taste it as you go. Looking cool. Our salsa, preferably sat a day, so it can really kind of come together. Black beans, fresh corn, red onion, red pepper, and I am kind of letting this fall around the plate. I think it kind of looks cool. Okay. That does have some lime and cilantro in it too. Don't forget, the ladies like the green stuff. There you go. So there is jalapeno Dorito chicken, black bean and corn salsa, chipotle sour cream. Don't forget the green stuff. That's important. Okay. Thank you for visiting the channel. This is Midnight Range TM. I hope you like, subscribe, share the video. I hope you try something like this at home. It was a lot of fun. So Smeggy42, I hope you like your video. If you think it's necessary, if you wish, I shouldn't say if you think it's necessary, if you wish, and I hope you do, check me out on Patreon and help support the channel. Until next time, have a great night.